And we're back here at SwamiLee's Sports Talk in 2022. I'm SwamiLee, and I'm joined again today by Mike Gorham. Say hello, Mike.
What's going on, everyone?
There we go. We're rocking today. It was Mike's lifelong dream to be on SwamiLee's Sports Talk, so we decided to bring him back. He will be telling his grandkids about this for years and years and years.
Can't
So,
wait.
exactly. We can't wait for the grandkids or whatever it might be. Anyway,
Everything.
today, Mike, we have a topic for you that I've not made you aware of, so we'll see how quick you are on the draw. As you may know, the Phillies have a number one pick at third base named Alec Bohm or Baum or however you want to pronounce it, who can't field his way out of a paper bag, and last year he couldn't hit either after showing a pretty strong 2020 season. So, Mike, the question and the topic today is Phillies failed prospects. I'm not talking about Brad Brink, Trey McCall, and Joe Savory. I'm talking about the guys like that Mickey Moniak. If I want to play the days, that was my Harry imitation. I'm sorry, I couldn't help myself. I don't know about you, but I would love to hear Harry say Mickey Moniak just one time.
Just
Uh,
one.
just give me one time. But Mike, name for me off the top of your head with no help whatsoever the biggest Phillies bust prospect that crosses your mind.
Dominic Brown.
Oh, I think he won. I don't think there was a bigger hyped prospect. Remember, this is a guy the Phillies wouldn't trade to Toronto for Roy Halladay.
Yep.
Mike, what happened to Dominic Brown?
I don't know what happened to Dominic Brown. I do remember, and I don't remember the year. It was the year that he made the All-Star team. And the guy had 20-plus home runs by the All-Star break. And I'm thinking to myself, wow, we really got ourselves a stud player right now. And unfortunately, that never panned out. In fact, I believe after the second half, he just tanked and just never was able to rebound offensively again.
Actually, after May, he tanked. He had, I want to say, 13 home runs in the month of May.
Mm.
And then that was it. But so he had, that span of 2-3 months where he was really hot, and he just disappeared.
Yep.
What about that Tyler Green?
That's another one that had, I believe he had one good year, I believe. Didn't he have one good year with us? Or am
He
I?
was a solid pitcher for about a year with that knuckle curve out of Wichita or Wichita State, one or the other. That knuckle
Yeah.
curve. Another player that totally led us to believe he might be something, and then went right down the toilet.
Yep.
Who else you got,
Yep.
Mike?
Oh, let's see. I can't think of anybody else off the top of my head. I just do know that listening to sports radio and just hearing everybody talk about how disappointed they were in Dominic Brown. I mean, that's like the big one that stands out to
Well, you
me.
know
That's
what, Mike?
the
You're missing out then, because who could ever forget Jeff Action Jackson? Do you remember Jeff Jackson?
I do. I do. I don't remember what year was that. Roughly.
Jeff Jackson was I want to say he was picked third or fourth in the 1989 draft. It went, number one was Ben McLongball. Number two was Roger Salkid. Salkid was the guy, I'm sorry, Tyler Houston was number two. Number three was Roger Salkid. The Phillies really wanted him, and Salkid was a stud. Okay, even though he had injuries, he never developed, but he was a stud. That's the guy the Phillies wanted. But when Salkid was taken at number four, the Phillies looked around and said, what do we need more than anything else? Another outfielder. We don't need pitching, even though we've got none. We need another outfielder. He was a toolsy kid. He was out of the streets of California somewhere. And he was really toolsy, but he wasn't put together, and he was out of high school. And he was a huge, huge failure. By the way, that was the Frank Thomas draft, where
Uh,
Thomas went eighth to the White Sox. But before you say anything, and this is a topic for another video, the Phillies should not have taken Frank Thomas in that draft. But we're not going to go any further because that's a topic of a whole nother video. So, what about Greg Golson? You remember Greg Golson?
I don't remember Greg Golson.
You're
I
not
don't.
You're not missing much. You're not missing much.
This
So
was a top prospect.
he was. He played briefly for the Phillies. I believe he played for Texas briefly also. It's a total failure. So the point of that little thing was they have a history of being like that, right? So let's talk about today because really most of the people watching this, all 3 million of them, are going to care about today. Okay? Let's talk about 3 drafts in a row. You know which 3 of those are, don't you?
You're going to tell me.
I am. Mickey Moniak, number 1 overall. Adam Hazley, number 8, I want to say, give or take. And Alec Bohm, number 3, I think it was, or 4. And all 3 of them are falling flat on their faces. Moniak's a complete failure. Hazley, who knows what happened to him last year. And Bohm can't field, and he can't hit. Mike, as the prophet said, what's up with that?
Well, I'll tell you what. I think we need to be a little bit more patient right now with Alec Bohm. I know that everybody wants him off. Well, not everybody, but a lot of people do not want him on the team. He had a very, very disappointing season last year, coming off of what I considered pretty darn good rookie season.
Sure.
I was hoping last year that we'd get 20-plus home runs out of Bohm. That's what I was hoping. The guy's, 6'5". He can clearly hit, but I don't know what happened to the guy last year. I mean, he got sent down. He came back. Not the best showing. And can we chalk that off to a sophomore slump? I hope so. So I think giving up on him right now would not be the best move for the Phillies. I would like to see them give him a little bit more time, and just be a little bit more patient with him, and hopefully things will work out at the plate, especially. But then again, more importantly, I mean, his defense is really bad. If you're going to be a third baseman, you better be a damn good third baseman.
Do you think by signing Castellanos and Schwarber, that was the ticket out for Bohm? Because, again, I can't see him being a long-term answer at third. So I thought he might replace Hoskins in a year or two because Hoskins is not getting big bucks to come back. I'll tell you that right. He's got this year and next on his contract before free agency. And I think we've learned you do not give first basemen long-term contracts, in Philly at least. So I think, he may have punched his ticket out of town if he doesn't have a miraculous comeback in the field more than even hitting.
Listen, I think if Bohm can put up numbers, for this year, speaking this year only, I think if Bohm can bat 270, and he can give you 20-plus home runs, maybe give you 75 RBIs, I think that's it's a lot of progress since last year, but I think that would be he would be worth looking at and worth investing your time in my opinion.
What about Adam Hazley?
I think there's a lot to be seen there.
But are you going to have a chance to see it though? You've got left and right fielder, barring an injury, left and right field are locked in for the next 4 or 5 years. So center is the only place you got, and you've got Odubel, you've got Verling, hopefully, because that's my choice. You've got Hazley. I don't think Girardi likes Moniak. I mean, my prediction is Moniak is not even on the 40-man roster come opening day. I mean, not the Major League roster, the 40-man roster. He gets either waived or traded for a 38-year-old middle reliever who's going to start the season in AAA. And you've got a couple kids in the minors in single and double A that are 1 to 2 years away. That kid, Johan Rojas, is supposed to be a beast. So you got all these first-round picks. What happens to them?
Well, I mean, I believe Moniak's actually not having a bad spring right now.
3 home runs so far. 3 home runs.
Yeah, 3 home runs. I mean, home runs aren't everything.
But there's something. They're
definitely. I mean, he's leading the team in home runs, so there's that. I think if he continues to have a decent spring, continues on the same path, I think he finds himself in the starting, not the starting lineup, but he'll find himself on the team. Hazley, he's a bench player. I think we can agree to that. But I don't know enough about Hazley. But we'll see.
Well, the last question on this topic is whomever plays center, because Odubel's starting off the DL, or excuse me, the IL. Never get used to that. Are they going to give him more than 20 at bats before they give up on the player? If you remember last year, and the center field was just a graveyard, but they give 25 at bats to Hazley. He's batting 160. They brought up Moniak. They gave him 20 at bats. He had 3 hits. I actually was at the game where he hit his first major league home run. What a thrill for me. And gave him 20 at bats, and he didn't hit. So they put somebody else out there, for their 20, their 20 at bats. I mean, are they going to give Verling 100 at bats in center field at least to see if he can hit or not?
I would hope so, because everything that I've seen so far out of Verling, I like him.
I was big into him last year. I think they should have given him a better opportunity last year. And hopefully this is the time, because I want it to the point when Odubel is activated, Odubel is let go. Not because he beat his girlfriend or anything like that, simply because they have better options.
Mm-hmm. And I'll be honest with you, I'm not the biggest Odubel fan. And again, it has nothing to do with his off-the-field antics or anything like that. I just think his baseball IQ is in the toilet.
Well,
makes a lot of headed plays. I just don't think he's mentally, I just don't think he's quite all there.
Well, the other Mike agrees with you, by the way, just so you know. He hates Odubel Herrera. He hates Odubel Herrera a lot. And again, it has nothing to do with him beating any people. He just hates him as a baseball player. So you guys have something in common, I'll tell you that right now. But anyway, Mike, we're winding down here. Any last thoughts on the Phillies' failure to produce first round picks? I mean, if you go over, I'm telling you, since the first draft, if you count the successful Phillies first round picks, you don't need more than 2 hands. And you probably don't even need 2 hands. You probably need 1 hand and a couple fingers. And understand, that's 57 years of drafting. Okay? Mm-hmm. I mean, top of my head, 3 seconds, right? I can think of Burrell, Hamels. I know there's more, don't get me wrong, but Burrell, Hamels. Was Luzinski a first-round pick, perhaps? Maybe Luzinski. I think more of Trey McCall and all those, the Chad McConnells and the Jeff Jacksons. Those are the guys I think of. The Adrian Cardenas, who I actually think might have been he was a compensation pick, I believe. I mean, they all stink. They all stink.
So what do you attribute that to?
One more time? I didn't hear that.
What do you attribute that to? The scouts? The scouting department?
Well, it has to start at the top. But with upper management, when you see that you can't draft, I don't care who it is, you replace him. You can't fail 3, 4, 5 years in a row and keep your farm director. You just can't do it. And again, go all the way back. I didn't put a list together of the Phillies' first-round picks. It depresses me too much. I don't want to see, the Joe Savorys of the world. Okay? I mean, Eric Valent. I actually liked Eric Valent. He was a compensation pick for J.D. Drew. J.D. Drew. What a scumbag he was. I actually respect them for doing what they did to him. But nonetheless, anyway, I could go on forever on this topic, but we're running out of time. Final thoughts for you, Mike, for the day?
Final thoughts. I think the Phillies are going to win 88 games. I think, and I think we talked about it before. I think as long as the bats don't fall asleep, we have a big hitting lineup. I think there's going to be a lot of fun baseball this summer. But at the same time, there's some things that remain to be seen defensively, bullpen. It's going to be an interesting year.
Well, let's hope one of those 3 number 1 picks does something this year. I think that would be huge if any of the 3 of them even produced as a marginal major leaguer, I think that will help. Because remember,
Yeah.
Baum doesn't have to run the team this year. He could be a cog in this team. A cog playing solid defense, not even spectacular, just solid, hitting 250 with 20 homers, 80 RBIs. The team probably makes the playoffs, unless everybody else falls apart, which I don't think is going to happen.
It's going to be fun.
Yes, sir. Well, thanks so much for tuning in. SwamiLee's Sports Talk. I'm Swami Lee.
I'm Mike Gorham.
And we'll see you next time. Thanks so much for tuning in.